Good evening. My name is Margaret Bile, President of the Federated Women's Institutes of Canada. The Federated Women's Institutes of Canada is also known as FWI Canada. It is the national organization that provides a united voice for all women's institutes across Canada while advocating for national directives in health, education, food safety, environmental preservation, and community support. The Women's Institutes movement began or grew from humble origins in 1897 with co-founders Adelaide Hunter Hoodless, Erland, and Janet Lee. I'd like to take a moment just to introduce our board. President-elect is Lynn McLean. Treasurer, Linda Mason. Our representative from PEI is Doreen Wall. Nova Scotia, Eleanor Lilly. New Brunswick, Angela Scott. Newfoundland, Elizabeth Moss. FWIO is Ann Innes. BCWI, Colleen Hooper. Province of Quebec is Judy Page Jones, and Manitoba is Denise Joss. So welcome everybody. This month, we recognize Black History Month. Today is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and this year it is also Pink Shirt Day, representing standing up against bullying. We're here this evening to celebrate WI Week, February 19th through February 25th. I'd like to recognize the following people who are in attendance this evening. Ruth Shanks, ACWW Past President. Dr. Ellen McLean, ACWW Past World President and Past FWIC President. Linda Hoy, ACWW Canada Area Chair and Past FWIC President. Marie Kenny, ACWW UN Committee Chair and FWIC Past President. Christine Rayburn, ACWW Secretary and Chair of the Triennial World Conference Committee. Sheila Needham, ACWW Chairman of the Communications and Marketing Committee. And Joan Holthe, is Joan on?
I didn't see it.
Okay. Ruth Blankhorn, past FWIC President. Elizabeth Rushton, past ACWW Canada Area President. So have I missed anybody? Margaret Yetman is a past World President, Deputy President, sorry, my excuse. So we'll now begin with Judy Button from the Newfoundland WI reciting the Native Land Acknowledgement.
Hello, everyone. Before we begin this evening's program, we would like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. While we meet this evening on a virtual platform, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands and to give gratitude for the sharing of these lands, which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. So I'd like to ask Elizabeth Rushton if she would recite the Mary Stuart Collect for us, please.
Thank you, Margaret. Keep us, O Lord, from pettiness. Let us be large in thought, in word, and deed. Let us be done with fault-finding and leave off self-seeking. May we put away all pretense and meet each other face to face without self-pity and without prejudice. May we never be hasty in judgment and always generous. Let us take time for all things. Make us grow calm, serene, gentle. Teach us to put into action our better impulses, straightforward and unafraid. Grant that we may realize that it is the little things that create differences, that in the big things of life we are one. May we strive to touch and know the great human heart common to us all. And, O Lord God, let us not forget to be kind.
Thank you. Angela, did you want to do the introductions of the new members? Angela Scott.
I forgot to unmute. Sorry.
That's okay.
I think the only introduction I was going to do was for Helen.
All right, then I will welcome our new member, Nancy Wu from PEIWI.
Hi, Margaret. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you. So should I just start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. My name is Nancy, and I joined Lower Montague Women's Institute for 4 months now. I'm actually a little bit shy and nervous to speak, very much like 4 months ago when I first walked into the meeting room at Lower Montague Women's Institute. But I'm also very thankful to be here tonight because this week I'm also volunteering at Canada Game, and it's going on in PEI right now. It is not very common for me to participate at 2 national events in the whole. So this might be something I can look back and celebrate someday, just like my story with Women's Institute that I'm going to share tonight. Before I start sharing, I would like to say, please forgive me. I would probably have to read my notes because after watching 6 Ring It in 2 days, I'm really hoping, with all the excitement from the games, I could still speak what I truly want to share and say. So talk about how I hear about Women's Institute. Every year in the spring, the PEI Women's Institute hosts a roadside cleanup event across the island. Before the pandemic, a group of friends and we decided to participate it and made it a fun event. But, well, the thing is, we picked up a day and time, but it turned out to be, a bad weather day here in May, in springtime. Since we've already, decided, and we just, the only thing we could do is just dressed up properly. So we have all the raincoats, windproof jackets, rain boots, and every kind of gear. And so in such a difficult weather condition, it really drove us that we truly want to get the most of this. So on the road, we decided to look for trash, and we made it like a treasure hunting. So for example, I remember when I pulled, a burger wrapping paper from a bunch of dirt, and we look at it and we comment and say, hey, come and look what I get. This the burger wrapping paper, since the burgers are now putting in a box, you don't really see the wrapping papers anymore. So we would comment of what we got. And, for like a bunch of cigarette butts that was just sitting on the floor, and we were just talking. So why would somebody want to smoke in front of, a roadside instead of enjoy in their backyard or front yard? Which means that if they don't do this, we don't have to clean it. Anyway, we had a really great time picking up the trashes. And the fun thing is, after we finish it, the rain stopped. The weather turns great. So that was my first encounter with Women's Institute in PEI. And to speak about my first impression, last year I signed up a workshop from Women's Institute. And that was my first time meeting with the members at Women's Institute. I didn't know anybody before I went, I never had my friends or family members who had ever joined Women's Institute. I didn't know much about the organization either. So when I walked up to the entrance of the hall, I was greeted by Ellen McPhail, who is the executive director of FWI Women's Institute, and a few ladies who arrived early. They saw me and they recognized immediately that I was new. So they greeted me and talked to me like they are meeting a new neighbor. So they even included and invited me into their conversation. And that really helped me to relieve my nervousness and help me blend in a bigger group very smoothly. So I must thank Ellen and also Marian and Sheila, who are the president and vice president of PEI Women's Institute, and many other ladies who made me feel very comfortable being there with them. So I've been a member of the Lower Montague Women's Institute for 4 months now. And looking back, I have to say that Women's Institute is a place where you get support from people who really look after each other. To give the advice for whoever might be interested in joining Women's Institute, I would like to say, don't be shy, come and check it out. Better do it now rather than tomorrow, or you'll miss a lot. I have to say, I do see a lot of good deeds and adequate carried out by members of Women's Institute. There are lots of things I myself may bring to my family and the community members, and even, the society. So I do expect to meet a lot more friends in Women's Institute. As for the time of the meeting, since I have flexible working hours, so either afternoon or evening meetings are pretty fine with me. And of course, I would be interested in bringing friends to join Women's Institute. Not only for newcomers like me, I think we all like to call the place we live our home. So joining Women's Institute is a very good way to make new friends, share your thoughts, and work on fun things together for the community. And you listen and learn what's going on in your neighborhood from real people instead of watching television by yourself, reading from newspapers along, even checking social media. That's too boring for me. And so to talk about anything I would like to share, I would like to mention that Lower Montague Women's Institute whole renovation project. Lower Montague Women's Institute have been working and fundraising
A can of my juice.
to renovate the hall for like 5 years. And this has been a major project. Now we're close to the final stage of the renovation. And soon this place will be used by our members for our monthly meetings, and it will open to the public as well. So as a new member, I'm very excited to be part of the fundraising activity. So if you would like to, please support us by donating to this project. And please come to visit Lower Montague Women's Institute, especially in the summertime, to enjoy the best season of the year in Prince Edward Island. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. That was wonderful. And welcome to WI. Angela, I'm going to turn this over to you now.
Okay. Well, ladies, we're going to have a little fun now, just a little interlude in between our guests. So I'd like to introduce tonight Helen Clark. Helen, wave your hand for a second. Yay! Hey, Helen.
Well, she'll come on spotlight.
Yes. Okay, that's great. Helen is our secretary in New Brunswick for our provincial body, and she's also the president of the FWIC WI. Helen is a retired school teacher, and she's been a member since she retired from teaching for 15 years. She's part of a dairy farm operation in New Canaan, New Brunswick. Her son is in charge of the farm now, but she and her husband are still part of the operation. And something that you might not know about Helen is that she loves thrift shopping. So tonight she has a fishbowl with some ideas and some questions, and we're just going to see what happens. Take it away, Helen.
All right, I have a whole bowl here of cut paper, and each paper has a question on it. So to help get to know each other, I'm going to pull one out and read what it says.
Okay.
Name
Sounds
3
good.
things that you love or hate about spring.
Mhm. Who would like to go
Is somebody
first?
going to?
Mud.
Did you say mud?
I said mud, yes.
That's what I thought so too. Anybody else?
Growing.
Growing, yes. Judy?
Flowers.
Flowers.
Peter Parks.
Potholes.
Peepers, when the peepers start. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Longer days. Longer days.
yes. Yeah, for
All the
sure.
calves and lambs and all that, the new ones.
Yes, yes. The babies.
Ah, babies.
Yeah,
Fresh maple syrup.
yeah. That's coming soon.
Yeah. All the colors when the earth comes alive.
Hmm.
Pussy willows.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's great. That's great.
Yes.
Anybody else? I think that'll do for this time. Should we go on with our next guest?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, we will do that. I'm just going to remind everybody, if you're not speaking, please mute yourselves. All right. So I'd like to welcome new member Evelyn Dupeau from Quebec. Evelyn, did I pronounce your name properly? Where are you? You have to unmute yourself.
Oh,
Is Evelyn on?
Yep, I found it. I have to find it.
There she is. Welcome, Evelyn.
The first time, I'm sorry, because it's not my first language. I'm French, and I understand the English language, but sometimes with the conversation, I have some problem with the words. So when I read my presentation, I'm sorry. So I was invited to join the Abercrombie branch of the Quebec Women Institute. I felt truly honored to be considered as part of this special group of ladies. I had the pleasure of knowing the late Pauline Tibbetts Wilkins. It's my favorite ladies. When I look after her, she explained to me what she had did for this branch, and she explained what she did during the whole time. I have a great respect for her. Mrs. Wilkins was a past president and longtime member of Abercrombie Women Institute. Following in the footsteps of her late mom and founding member, Mrs. Wilkins spent many hours telling me about the activity of the Institute and the tireless effort of the members in working together for the benefit of children, education, families, and community. There always much accent on the ever important art of homemaking. So I was so impressed by her interest, enthusiasm, and determination. even in her very senior years, that I felt I had a duty to share in her attempt to ensure the continuity of those values. And I appreciate very these values of community and country, which must be carried forward. We must ensure the lasting memories and reckoning. Sorry, I was very impressioned of this moment. Reckoning, how do you say this word? Reckoning. I'm sorry. Contribution here. Recognition of the Women's Institute in Abercorn, their many contributions, and the building their home, the Little Red School House in Abercorn. It's through my membership that I hope to play a part. I'm sorry for my language. I'm trying to explain what I think about the Women's Institute at the phone, and I love the building, the Red School, and I want to do some things in the future for the new generations. That's all.
Well, thank you, ladies. You've done a wonderful job, and welcome to the WI. So yes, everybody. Merci. That's about the best French I can do. I'm sorry. I'm going to turn this back over to Angela.
Yes. And Helen, she has all the questions. Let's try another one, Helen.
I better unmute. That would be good. What is the best gift that you have ever received?
Oh. Marie, why don't you tell us what your best gift ever was?
Best gift ever. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say the best gift I've ever received was my husband. He's a patient man that's always encourages me, and I don't think there's a better gift than encouragement.
Right, that's a good answer. Who else? Ruth.
The best gift I ever received happened many, many years ago. My daughter was six weeks old. We were living in Montreal, and I had heard that my younger brother, age 12, was in an accident in the hospital in Halifax in a coma and not expected to make it. We drove home, and I was really upset. I arrived at the hospital bed. My mother was waiting. I talked to her very quietly, and all of a sudden my brother opened his eye and he looked at me and he said, "Ruth, what are you doing here? Where's the baby?" A miracle. What better gift could you ever receive?
That's right. That's a lovely story.
That was
Thank you.
The best one. I have to say, Marie's one of a husband. That was my second best one. Or first.
Yes. Margaret, you were going to answer.
Well, I would have to agree first with Marie and with Ruth about the husband. But the other best gift that I received was being present at my grandson's birth. That was one of the best gifts.
Yeah. Sounds awesome. Yeah. Who else would like to share tonight?
I would like
Rosemary. Yeah, go ahead, Rosemary.
So back in, I did unmute. So back in 2019, on my birthday, my granddaughter was 10 years old, and she made this eternal birthday card for me.
Oh,
It
isn't
says
that
happy
beautiful?
birthday. On the back, it says, "Nana, hope you had a good birthday. Love, Kayla." So I hang this on the wall and I see it every year.
Oh, nice. That's lovely. Who else have we got tonight that would like to share?
I would like to share.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lynn. You can see more than I can.
Sorry, Pat has her hand up. I'll try and watch hands. So
Okay.
I would like to share. For years, we took foster children. And one of the worst things that ever happens to foster children is that often they're picked up at school, never to go back to the home that they were just in, especially back in the 70s and 80s and into about the mid 90s. And we had 3 little children, and out of the blue, we were told that these children would not be coming back home at the end of our day, of that day. And I was privileged because I worked at the school. So I found a way to make myself present that afternoon, even though I wasn't supposed to be, because I wasn't going to let these children leave. Well, somehow the social worker had gotten to the oldest daughter first to say to her to make sure that she gathered her brother and sister at the end of the day and went to the office to speak with her, that she had a surprise for them. Well, the surprise was, we're leaving. That little girl came, yeah, right?
Yeah.
That little girl came running up to me and told me, she was all crying and all upset. And she reached in her pocket and she took out this old raggedy flower that she had actually brought to my house 2 years later. And she gave it to me and she said to me, you keep this forever so you don't forget me.
Oh.
It hangs on my wall in a frame.
Oh.
And that was the best gift I've ever gotten.
Oh.
And I tell the story because the ending is incredible. Years later, I was in the city taking my younger kids rollerblading. And we ran into that girl. And by then she was a young woman in college, off making her own way. And the first thing she said to me was, do you remember me? I gave you a flower. That was the best gift anyone could ever have.
Yeah. That's a lovely story.
Thank you.
Thank
I just
you.
thought I would share that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Who else? Did anyone else have their hand up? Oh, Elizabeth Rushton.
Everyone's making this a very hard act to follow, but thinking back and trying to think of many, many gifts I've received over the years, of course, I think the best gift, although it maybe wasn't intended that way, was when a friend invited me to join the Stony Plain Women's Institute, or to come to a meeting 50 years ago this year. How did I get this old? I had no idea what world would open up for me from that one night.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. Well, if there isn't anyone else right now who wants to share, we could move on.
Could I just add one story?
Yes.
I didn't think about this one until I sat down afterwards. I think this is the most important gift I ever got, and it was from my sister Margaret. Back in 1994, I had gallbladder surgery and it went wrong. And I almost died twice. And she brought in this recorder that looped, and it had Canon by Paco Bell with ocean sounds.
Okay.
I listened to that tape whole day and was visualizing those waves, cleaning all the toxins out because I had peritonitis and fluid in the lungs, and it was bad. The doctors came to me and said, after a month, what are you doing that you're healing so quickly? And that's because my sister Margaret brought in that sound therapy for me to heal. So thank you, Margie.
Wow.
You're welcome, Rosie. That's my sister.
Oh,
nice.
how nice. Lovely. Thank you so much.
All
Margaret,
right.
if it's okay, we'll go on.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Thanks everybody for sharing, because those are lovely thoughts. So I'd like to welcome a new member, Patsy Kelly from FWIO. Patsy?
I don't know if she's here, Margaret.
Unless she says another name, but I don't think she's here, so. Sorry.
Nobody from, is there anybody else from FWIO that's a new member that would like to step in?
Or relatively new.
Or relatively new, yeah. Come on, I know there's somebody out there. Let's see if there's anybody from our branch. I have a couple of new members that are supposed to be coming on. I don't see them here. So the bad weather is affecting some of the.
That's what I think too, so.
Yeah, so how about we move on then to Tony Cisco from BCWI, and their story is going to be shared by Susan Hausowski.
Good evening, everyone. Tony's really disappointed that she couldn't be with us, but she asked me to read her little thing about WI because it definitely is her newfound love. And her story says, when my husband and I finally retired and moved to Grasmere permanently from Calgary, I started searching for a women's group. Any women's group. I really didn't care. I just wanted to meet people and make friends. Later, I was invited to a WI meeting. I happily attended, thinking the group was just a bunch of ladies who got together to visit and have coffee. Boy, was I wrong and very pleasantly surprised. First, I loved the camaraderie of the women and how they were focused on improving their community. I joined that night and have been very engaged with WI ever since. I love the history of the organization, the community spirit, and mostly making friends that care so much. And I know they will be lifelong friends. It was one of the best decisions I have ever made. And although she's only been a member for just going on 4 years, she's already the secretary of the WI here in Grasmere. She has been for about 3 years. She's on the grant committee that searches out grants for upgrades to our community hall that the Women's Institute owns. And she was very instrumental in getting the solar system all a go at our hall also. So, and we have evening meetings, which everyone really enjoys because there's still quite a few that have picked up part-time jobs. They found that retirement was a little quiet, and so they've all searched out for part-time jobs. So that's Tony's story.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue, for sharing that for Tony. And we're going to go back to Helen and Angela.
Yay. Okay, Helen.
Okay, all right. Whoops. Yeah, but all right. I've got about 70 in this bowl. I couldn't stop figuring out what questions I wanted to get answers to. What are your 3 best achievements? What have you achieved that's really good?
Well, probably all of us would say we achieved membership for WI. That's a big achievement. Who else could we pick on? Oh, Evelyn Pack.
Our district Women's Institute got accessible transportation in our county. It took us probably 20 years, but we've got it and it's expanded and we're able to donate to it every year.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a great achievement. Yeah. Who else would like to share tonight?
Jared Stones.
Linda Hoy's up, and Liz is, sorry.
Okay. We'll do them one at a time. Linda Hoy.
Good evening. I think my biggest achievement was going from a girl who stuttered in school, couldn't say more than, maybe one or two sentences, to being able to stand up in front of large crowds of women with the Women's Institute, both in my own branch, president, and then Quebec Women's Institute, and moving on to the national and now, the international. So I think that's my biggest achievement, and I contributed all to the Women's Institute. If it wasn't me getting involved with them, I would never have been able to do it. So that's my achievement.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Barb Stones?
Yes, I can echo Linda's thoughts immensely. That's what I was going to say. My greatest achievement was coming out of my shell. And I echo what Nancy had said with being nervous about going to her first meeting and getting nervous. I couldn't even answer a roll call. And 40 something years later, I've done pretty well all the local positions in Ontario. So I thank the WI for that. It's been just wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Liz.
This isn't only my achievement, it's the achievement of our my Springfield Women's Institute, which is just outside of Winnipeg. In 1947, there was a train disaster right in our little town of Dougal. On the 60th anniversary, we erected a train in commemoration, I guess, of, or whatever you want to see it, of the 60th anniversary of the Dougal train disaster that happened. And so it's not only my achievement, but it's also the achievement of all the ladies in our group. And it was very inspiring. I was president and I ended up being MC of the program. We had close to 500 people attend, and we had TV coverage that even went on national. So like I say, it's not only my achievement, the achievement of my Women's Institute. Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That, Liz, when you talk about that, that made me think of Mrs. Moss. I think she's here tonight from Newfoundland. Are you here? I can't remember her first name, but I know she's Mrs. Moss.
That'd be Elizabeth Moss?
Yes.
I saw her.
It's Nellie, isn't it?
Nellie, yes. Could be. And I think that in Newfoundland and all of the Canadian provinces, when the 911, when the Twin Towers were bombed in New York and the other disasters, the people here in Canada, we did so much to welcome them. And when we had our book club this past, I think it was in the fall, in November, Mac Moss was the, is that the correct name, Marie? Was that his name?
Yes, she's there. Nellie's there.
Okay.
Nellie's
Yeah.
there now.
Yeah. And so I think it's Nellie's husband that wrote the book.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. That's correct.
Yes. And I think that was a great accomplishment for your family and your province, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Flying
else?
into the Arms of Angels was the name of the book.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I recognized your face, but I couldn't remember your first name.
The name is coming up there, Mac Moss, because I'm on the computer, not on my iPad.
Right, right. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much for coming tonight. If it's okay with you, I'd like to try another question. Helen, do you have another question for us?
Oh, yes, I've got lots. I'll dig one out. Tell something about yourself that no one knows.
Okay. Sheila Needham.
Takes a while to get to that mute button. I
Yes, it
think
does.
several of you know I was going to mention that I'm a beekeeper.
Oh.
And have been now for a couple of years, and I'm learning and at the same time really enjoying the process, even though it is a lot of hard work. I've even been asked to speak about it now at a couple of WIs, so they seem to enjoy my take on keeping bees.
Oh,
Many would
wonderful.
say don't. It is quite the challenge. But
it's
I
very
do enjoy it.
peaceful. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's a completely different world when you're out there in the beehive,
It is.
learning about their world.
Yeah, that's lovely. Who else could share something that no one would know about you? What about Donna? I know something about Donna that I bet a lot of you don't know. Can you tell us, Donna?
This Donna?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm an open book. I have no idea.
What about your social media presence?
Well, yes, I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And I'm called the paparazzi here on the farm because I follow the guys around taking pictures.
Yes, yeah. And how many followers do you have now, Donna?
TikTok, I have about 74,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than
Well,
that, I'm an
thank
open
you.
book.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I wouldn't have guessed. Who would like to share again? Or would we like
Valerie Smith has her hand up.
Valerie, go for it.
I have webbed toes.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's interesting. Yeah. Anybody else? Michelin?
Yes, I have wilderness first aid. So if you ever get hurt in the woods, call me.
That's great. That's great.
I'm a crow whisperer. We have a family of crows, many generations now, who come to our lake every year, and they're quite a huge family now. There's over 50 of them, but they settle in our forests all around us. And if there's a predator around and I'm working in the garden, they will literally come and get down on the ground right by me, cawing at me until I get up and chase whatever. It's usually a feral cat. But anyway, I call myself, everybody calls me the crow whisperer. So
That's amazing. That's a good story. I love stories. Thank you so much. Well,
once more, got another one, Nancy Burris.
Okay, Nancy.
Hi. So when I was in my mid-20s, I lived in the Arctic for 4 years, and we had a dog team for 2 years.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
So
Do you remember the dogs' names?
Yes.
I bet you do. I bet you do. That's amazing.
Nuki and Maliki and Kabluk and Kutuk and Ayuk.
Oh, my land.
And they all mean something.
Yes.
It was a
That's
wonderful
wonderful.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much. And thank you, Helen, for sharing all your questions tonight. If any of you would like to have these questions, Anne Marie, did you want to say something? No, maybe I just saw your hand waving. If anyone would like to have the questions, we will send them out because it's a great fun way to get to know people, to have a few questions to share. And when Helen started, she went right to town and got lots of questions. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Helen and Angela. We have one more speaker, and that's Dr. Ellen McLean. She's going to tell her story. Dr. McLean, if you can unmute, and we didn't lose her, did we? No,
Oh, she's here. She's here.
Okay.
Oh, you put yourself on mute again, Helen. On mute. I gotta do this.
There you go. No, you're good.
Can you hear?
There you go.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Something's come up on my screen and I don't know what it is. You know, you can teach an old dog new tricks, and this old dog is having a hard time sometimes knowing what to press when.
Yeah.
I first of all want to say you are very difficult acts to follow. Each one of you this evening has already taught me and told me so much that I almost think, what more is there that I can say? And first of all, it's so wonderful to see so many friends of long standing in our midst tonight. It's just great. And to share some of my memories, I'm going to go back a long time, 70 years. In June this year, it'll be 70 years since I arrived in Nova Scotia as a bride to live on a dairy farm, a city girl transported to a dairy farm in Nova Scotia.
Oh,
I had a lot of adjusting
I'm in a Zoom meeting.
and a lot of learning. In September of that year, my mother-in-law said to me,
Okay then.
I'm going to the Women's Institute meeting.
Okay. Are you feeling like?
I think maybe you'd like to come with me.
Yeah, I
was
got a bit of
very
that too.
anxious
Must be the
to
weather.
meet as
Yeah.
many people as
Okay, and I'll talk to you
possible
tomorrow night.
in
Okay, love you too. Bye.
So I went to that Women's Institute meeting, and I was warmly welcomed by the group of women that were there. And I listened very carefully all evening. I enjoyed talking to them and listening to them. And when I was leaving, the secretary of the branch gave me something called Home and Country, which happened to be our monthly newsletter of the Women's Institutes of Nova Scotia. The next morning at breakfast, when I was having my coffee, I took out this little publication and started to read it. On the front page was a report of a conference that had been held in Toronto in June of that year. And the organization was called the Associated Country Women of the World. So I immediately read every bit of that report. And at the end of it, I realized those members I was with last night belong to this organization. And if I can belong to something where I can be in touch with women from around the world, I think maybe I'll join. Nobody had asked me to join that night. They had just said to me, we hope to see you again sometime soon, Ellen. But they hadn't pressured me. They didn't have to. The next month, I went with my mother-in-law and I joined the Springville Island branch. And that was the beginning for me of something very special. It was a group of women who took a young person who knew little or nothing about rural living and welcomed her and helped her, supported her, encouraged her, particularly encouraged her throughout the years, supported her always in whatever she was trying to do. Whether it was trying to learn how to cope with the separator when I had to separate the milk for the cream, or when I was having trouble with my babies, didn't matter what it was, they supported me. And if I was doing something with our branch beyond the realm of our own branch, they supported, they encouraged me all those years. They taught me so much, it would take me hours to tell you what they taught me. I had heard when my mother-in-law asked me to go to Women's Institute, I had heard of Women's Institutes as a little girl in a town in Alberta, where there was a branch of the Alberta Women's Institute. And this is one of the things when I became a member, I realized that it wasn't just my community. It wasn't just my province. It was my whole country that I was with. And it's extended around the world. And it was a wonderful thing. And that has encouraged me in my life all this time and has opened all kinds of doors for me throughout the years. I love the game we just played. And I agreed with those who said that the best gift they had was their husband. Because I was too, because when I was thinking about what I was going to say tonight, I could only think about the support and encouragement I got over the years from a wonderful man. And I so often think about when he would say, if I said, I don't know whether I should do that or not. And he said, if they've asked you to do it, it's because they thought you could. And I think this has been the same in our women's institutes. That whenever we would say to somebody, one of our members who said, maybe I can't do it, we would encourage them to do it. Yes, you can do it. I once felt the same as Nancy did here tonight when she told us about being nervous at her first meeting. And so over the years, it was learning what this organization has done wherever we live. And it doesn't matter how whereabouts in the world we live, if we belong to the associated country of the world. So much has happened that we have helped happen. And some of you have mentioned some of the things that your branch and you've been involved with and your achievements. And the achievements of our organization, it would take me hours to begin, as you know, because it would be the same for you if you had the time to tell all of the achievements of your organization in your own community. Because, you know, at my second meeting, the second meeting in October, I heard one of the women said, well, it's time for us to order the cod liver oil capsules because the children in our school should have them starting the 1st of November. And then when I came to the November meeting, the women said, well, it's time for us to think about what days in the week we're going to serve hot chocolate in the school at lunchtime. We can say they were little things, but they made such a big difference in the lives of these people. And that's what's been the same, is that everything that you have been involved in whatever organization, women's institutes, wherever you are in our country, you have made such wonderful achievements and the changes that you have made. And we talk about it's for home and country. As Women's Institute members, wherever we are, we try to make the place we live a better place to live. All the best to each one of you. It has been so wonderful to be with you. Thank you for asking me to take part tonight.
Thank you, Dr. McLean. It is our pleasure to have you here and to tell your story. So we really do appreciate that. So right now, I think I would like to thank Lynn McLean, Angela Scott, Judy Button, Elizabeth Rushton, Nancy Wu, Helen Clark, Evelyn DePaul, Patsy Kelly, Tony Sisko, Susan Hosowski, Dr. Ellen McLean, and all of you for taking part in our celebration of 126 years of WI in Canada. Lynn, did you want to go back to the slideshow?
We could try and do that. Just a second. A little on here. So thank you everyone for participating this evening. We would like to let you know we have more events coming up. One is March the 8th on International Women's Day. And we're very honored to be able to have Lindsay Seeley, who is an author and speaker. And she wrote the book, Growing Strong Girls, and is going to talk about bridging the gap. And I think very timely when we talk about the issues that we have with human trafficking here in our country. But this is a lady a woman that's going to be able to maybe perhaps give us some suggestions as to what we can do in our own communities to help women and girls and youth to be stronger and to be able to resist and to know about the dangers that are involved with human trafficking. So that's the one that's coming up on March the 8th. Thank you all for registering for tonight. You have to register again for that one as well, if you have not already done so. So again, it's registrations, plural, at fwic.ca, and I will send you the link the day before. And the next event after that is April the 19th, and it will be something either environment or climate change. We are still figuring out what the best way to handle that one particular will be. And so we would suggest that you watch the WI Connections, and we will be able to give you more information once we have that confirmed. So the other thing, Margaret, I would share is that we do have the YWI, and I don't know if you follow FWIC on Facebook, you should be seeing some members that are holding up signs or placards and saying the reasons why they've joined WI or what's important to them. If you have not done that exercise, we would encourage you to do so. This came out of an activity and a workshop that we did way back in October, and it was on social media, where we had asked if we could share why WI, why are you here? And some of the answers that we are getting are as varied as the members that we have, and we certainly heard lots of good reasons tonight from our new members that have joined. So if you haven't done it, all you need to do is you can take a piece of paper or cardboard and write on what it is that brought you to WI or keeps you in WI, and get someone to take your picture. And if you could send that to me at any one of these, at President-elect at FWIC, or send it to registrations, you know that address, and I will send it on to Eleanor and Angela, and then we would like to plaster Facebook of YWI. And since this is WI week, this is a perfect time to do that and to let people know, hey, we're here and we're doing some really good things in our communities, and why not join us? So that's what's coming up, Margaret.
Thank you very much. There's also, because this is the national recognition of, let me get this straight, National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. I just wanted to share that there is a poster that you can get. I don't know if you can see it. It's Maple Leaf Project, but it's also Project Inclusion. And it says, I want to eradicate the buying and selling of girls and boys, children in Canada and globally. So that's a poster that you can get from Project Maple Leaf. And I don't know if, Marie, did you want to share anything about the UN?
Thank you so much. I just want to maybe remind everyone that if you go to the ACWW website page, the CSW registration is there, and CSW is happening, and there will be a delegation going from ACWW to the Commission on the Status of Women. The meetings run from the 8th of March through to its full 2 weeks, we are doing a couple of parallel events. They're on the ACWW website, and you can just register and join in anytime online. The good part too is once you register, then you become part of the UN Women. So over the course of the year, then you'll hear of different opportunities to participate with the UN Women and a global network to allow your voice to be heard on different issues that we're facing globally. And that includes many that we're facing right here in Canada. So I invite you all to check that out on the ACWW website. And thank you so much. What a wonderful evening we have had together.
Thank you. Lynn, I don't know if you want to shut the recording off, and then we could just open it up for anybody that likes to chat. I know it's getting a
back?
No, you can talk about it.
Sure. So thank you everyone for participating this evening. We would like to let you know we have two events, more events coming up. One is March the 8th on International Women's Day. And we're very honored to be able to have Lindsay Seeley, who is an author and speaker. And she wrote the book, Growing Strong Girls, and is going to talk about bridging the gap. And I think it's very timely when we talk about the issues that we have with human trafficking here in our country. But this is a lady a woman that's going to be able to maybe perhaps give us some suggestions as to what we can do in our own communities to help women and girls and youth to be stronger and to be able to resist and to know about the dangers that are involved with human trafficking. So that's the one that's coming up on March the 8th. Thank you all for registering for tonight. You have to register again for that one as well, if you have not already done so. So again, it's registrations, plural, at fwic.ca, and I will send you the link the day before. And the next event after that is April the 19th, and it will be something either environment or climate change. We are still figuring out what the best way to handle that one particular will be. And so we would suggest that you watch the WI Connections, and we will be able to give you more information once we have that confirmed. So the other thing, Margaret, I would share is that we do have the YWI, and I don't know if you follow FWIC on Facebook, you should be seeing some members that are holding up signs or placards and saying the reasons why they've joined WI or what's important to them. If you have not done that exercise, we would encourage you to do so. This came out of an activity and a workshop that we did way back in October. And it was on social media where we had asked if we could share why WI, why are you here? And some of the answers that we are getting are as varied as the members that we have. And we certainly heard lots of good reasons tonight from our new members that have joined. So if you haven't done it, all you need to do is you can take a piece of paper, a cardboard, and write on what it is that brought you to WI or keeps you in WI, and get someone to take your picture. And if you could send that to me at any one of these, at President-elect at FWIC, or send it to registrations, you know that address, and I will send it on to Eleanor and Angela. And then we would like to plaster Facebook of YWI. And since this is WI week, this is a perfect time to do that and to let people know, hey, we're here and we're doing some really good things in our communities, and why not join us? So that's what's coming up, Margaret.
Thank you very much. There's also, because this is the national recognition of, let me get this straight, National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. I just wanted to share that there is a poster that you can get. I don't know if you can see it. It's Maple Leaf Project, but it's also Project Inclusion. And it says, I want to eradicate the buying and selling of girls and boys, children in Canada and globally. So that's a poster that you can get from Project Maple Leaf. And I don't know if, Marie, did you want to share anything about the UN?
Thank you so much. I just want to maybe remind everyone that if you go to the ACWW website page, the CSW registration is there, and CSW is happening, and there will be a delegation going from ACWW to the Commission on the Status of Women. The meetings run from the 8th of March through to its full 2 weeks, and We are doing a couple of parallel events. They're on the ACWW website, and you can just register and join in anytime online. The good part too is once you register, then you become part of the UN Women. So over the course of the year, then you'll hear of different opportunities to participate with the UN Women and a global network to allow your voice to be heard on different issues that we're facing globally. And that includes many that we're facing right here in Canada. So I invite you all to check that out on the ACWW website. And thank you so much. What a wonderful evening we have had together.
Thank you. Lynn, I don't know if you want to shut the recording off and